So today we're going to get into the debates, night number 2 of the second set of debates. And we're going to focus on, even though this was the only real time I think Tulsi got to really make an impact. And just this one little bit that she had resulted in her being the most searched candidate on Google after the debate. We're going to focus on the exchange between Tulsi and Kamala Harris. Tulsi Gabbard and Kamala Harris. Now, what I would like to make clear is that we're going to do some more review on the second set of debates. I've been a little busy in the last couple of days, so I haven't been able to really dig into it like I want to and make a lot more videos. And we are going to do an actual separate video on Tulsi Gabbard, by the way. But this, I think, was some of the most impactful because the only thing we really had on night number 2 were corporatist, centrist, Cory Booker, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. Obviously, we got Tulsi. We got Tulsi Gabbard. Okay? But, I mean, what did we really get? We got Joe Biden not even able to remember his punchline right at the end of the debate. We got Cory Booker trying to drag out the whole, oh, you dipping in the Kool-Aid and don't know the flavor. Cory, really? Really? We're going back to the mid-2000s here, Cory? Cory Booker reminds me more and more, the more that I listen to this complete, to quote Chris Jericho from WWE, ass clown. The more I listen to this guy, he reminds me of Carlton Banks from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Just the character Carlton Banks. I feel like he grew up, shaved his head, got rid of any facial hair, and now that is Cory Booker. Hey, I just realized something. Believe it or not, the initials actually fit. So, there we go. We have Carlton Banks running for president. You know, but then again, you know, I'm going to make some people mad because they like the whole Spartacus gimmick, too. The fact that, you know, Mr. Geeky and Nerdy himself thought he was Spartacus at one point during, you know, a Senate hearing. So, but without further ado, let's get in to the absolute mauling that Tulsi Gabbard gave Kamala Harris.
Congresswoman Gabbard, you took issue with Senator Harris confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response?
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about reentering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. Your response?
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Let's go, this very witness. He is broken in half.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, that had to hurt, Kamala. I mean, just pointing out. So I've already done my video on Kamala Harris, and I didn't dig into the whole criminal prosecution thing. I just focused on the more obvious hypocrisy of her. But yes, of course, she had a truancy program in California that focused more on black people than anyone else, yet she uses that I'm a woman of color card to her advantage when it benefits her. Okay? She definitely talked, even in this video, about legalizing marijuana, yet she laughed at it when asked about it when she was running against a Republican who was in support of legalizing marijuana as the AG in California. When she was running for the AG position against a Republican who was pro-marijuana, she was against it. They didn't exactly use the words, I'm not for it. But when they asked her what was her stance, she laughed. She laughed. And then she goes on to the Breakfast Club to say how she's pro-marijuana. She used to smoke marijuana, and she smoked marijuana when she was in college, and she listened to Tupac and Snoop, which we broke down how that was the Tupac one, maybe. Snoop, bull. He wasn't around when you were in college, Kamala. Okay? So, I mean, flat out, the woman is a blatant hypocrite. And Tulsi just took a bullwhip and just smacked her around with it. She took her to the woodshed, flat out. I mean, there's no getting around it. She beat the snot out of her with that line. Okay? Kamala Harris is a hypocrite. Kamala Harris has only been in the Senate the same amount of time that Trump has been the president. And again, I'm not going to say that doesn't make her necessarily qualified. Trump had no political experience technically before he became president. But the point being is, Kamala Harris is doing nothing but trying to climb the ladder, and she is a sneaky politician just like the rest. She plays politics. She is corrupted. She might, you can't nail her with all the monies necessarily like you can some of the other people like John Delaney, who's taking a lot of money from the healthcare industry. Okay? Or Joe Biden, for example. You don't have that argument for Kamala. But you definitely have the argument she is flat out hypocrite. You cannot trust what she's saying. And Tulsi Gabbard just exposed, this is what you think your solution is? This hypocrite. This person who will play politics and tell you whatever she thinks you want to hear, so you'll go out and vote for her because she's a woman and she's a woman of color. So just like kind of like the Obama thing, you think that because she's a female, Tulsi's a female too, but because she's, identifies as a black female, and her ancestry comes from Jamaica, you think she's got your best interests in mind. Oh no. Oh no. No. A lot of people thought that for Obama too. Obama didn't do anyone any favors. Even controversial figures like Louis Farrakhan came out and said that at the end of Obama. And I'm pretty sure we all know that Louis Farrakhan is not exactly against the black community. If you ever listen to Louis Farrakhan, he is not, like an Uncle Ruckus type figure who's against African Americans. Oh no. But even he came out and said that we all voted for you, but what did you do for this community? You think Kamala Harris is going to be any different? Oh, please. Wake up and have a cup. She's going to be no different. Tulsi pointed that out. Tulsi pointed out she absolutely eviscerated her with that portion of the debate. And honestly, it resulted in her being the most searched candidate after the debates. Now, there's another little interesting thing about Tulsi going around too. And that is, apparently she's suing Google because after the last debates, she was intending to run a series of ads promoting her campaign, and Google, for some reason, just coincidentally suspended her ad account. So the one woman, post Richard Ojeda, because he's no longer in the race. He was one of the first. I think he was the first to actually drop out. He was the second to declare, but the first to drop out. Because they wouldn't give him any coverage. Okay? So, post Richard Ojeda, from my view, she is the only candidate on the Democrat platform right now speaking the most truth. Now, she supports a $15 an hour minimum wage. I gave my stance on that the other day. You may agree with me, you may not. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. However, I'm not going to hold that one against her. The reason that I'm not holding her to those same arguments like the minimum wage, even though I may have disagreements with them, the reason I'm not attacking Tulsi for that is because she speaks more truth. Yes, you hear the truth from Bernie about the health care and the corruption and all that. You hear that from him as well. And I give him credit for that. I give him credit for pointing out that corruption, that hypocrisy. I'll give him all the credit in the world. He's 100% correct. I won't make no bones about it, and I won't try to deny it. When him and even Elizabeth Warren, who I like even less than Bernie, when they point these things out, they're 100% correct. So I'm not taking that away from them. What I don't particularly like about Bernie is, Bernie was on a stage with Kamala Harris in the last debate. Why didn't we hear any of this stuff from Bernie Sanders if he is the same political outsider that some of the people on the left make him out to be? If he's the same type of figure and is going to do the same things that Tulsi Gabbard's going to do, should she become president, if he's going to fight the same fight as Tulsi, why didn't we hear him point this out about Kamala Harris? And we heard Bernie argue his health care plan with Tim Ryan. But, Tulsi's the one who showed just how pro-war Tim Ryan was. Why do we not hear things like that from Bernie Sanders if he's going to be the same type of figure as Tulsi? See, the fact he's been in politics for so long, and then again, you have to say this also. Why did he vote for Obamacare? If Bernie Sanders was the same type of person that people are trying to make him out to be right now, and I understand he's not a complete corporatist Democrat like Joe Biden. I'm not saying he is. But if he's the outsider everyone makes him out to be, he voted for Obamacare. He helped write Obamacare. Now, the last time that I checked, Barack Obama ran with the campaign promise that he was going to get more along the lines of a single-payer healthcare system in place. Okay? He didn't run to put the old Richard Nixon plan into place. He didn't run to put Romney Care into place. See, for anyone, and this is what killed me about the Republicans complaining about Obamacare, I don't necessarily think Republicans have the answer to the providing the best health care that gives everyone coverage. I don't. A lot of my, people who I do agree with on the right would probably say I'm what I'm saying is an act of treason or something, but no, I don't think they do. Because everyone on the right just trampled all over Obamacare and blamed the left. A lot of the same way I've heard some people on the right blame Bill Clinton for NAFTA. Well, people, that is a load. That is one big load. Okay? Because, yeah, like I've said before, Clinton signed NAFTA and George H.W. Bush negotiated it, wanted it, said he wanted more just like it. Last time I checked, old Daddy Bush didn't have a D after his name. He had an R. You know what that stands for? Republican. Okay? Same concept. Richard Nixon. He's behind the whole layout of Obamacare. He pushed for a system like that many, many moons ago. It's the old Richard Nixon policy, basically. Okay? And Mitt Romney had a system like that when he was the governor. When he was a governor. Okay? Both of them are Republicans. And if it didn't work, that's horrible. The Democrats are to blame because they didn't give what they said they were going to give when Obama got elected. He said he was going to give us A. We didn't even get B. We got D. He just skipped B and C. He went whoosh. And his whole reasoning was so they could get Republican votes. Yet they had a bulletproof Senate, filibuster-proof Senate, and control the House of Representatives. And didn't give us a freaking thing they said they were going to give us, or particularly Obama said he was going to give us when he ran. He didn't close Guantanamo Bay. He didn't legalize marijuana. And he didn't give us a health care system like he said he was going to give us. Now, whether what he said he was going to give us would have worked or not, don't know. Doesn't matter. We didn't get it. We got the old Richard Nixon plan. And Bernie helped with that process. Bernie voted for the old Richard Nixon plan. And now we're sitting here all this time later and he's telling us he wants something more along the lines of what Obama wanted years ago. Now maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe he's telling the truth. I tend to believe he's telling the truth. But at the same time, I'm looking at this. Tulsi's making that argument. Tulsi's making the wage argument. But Tulsi's also calling out the bull crap from the people on the stage with her. Bernie's spouting his talking points, but he's not pointing out any of the hypocrisy of the other candidates. And some of these candidates are creeping up his ass, and they could pass him in the polls if he's not careful. So I also think back to the last time there was an election, and Bernie didn't win. And why didn't Bernie win the 2016 primary? Because Hillary Clinton and the DNC rigged the system against Bernie. They rigged it. Okay? They rigged it against Bernie. And she got the nomination. Did Bernie stand up and fight? No. Did Bernie point out the bullcrap? No. What did Bernie do? He endorsed that wicked witch. He endorsed her for president. And you know what that did? It caused a lot of people who did support him to say, "Oh, Bernie, please, God, tell me you didn't do." And you know what? There was one person who said, this is why I said in my Bernie review video, there was one dislike to that video so far. So someone took offense to it. Here's the deal. When I said he's a Democrat through and through, I'm not the only one that said that. You know who else said that to him or about him? Jesse Ventura. Because Jesse Ventura actually had high hopes for Bernie. He thought he might really be a good political outsider. And when he asked Bernie, he said, "If you don't get the nomination, are you going to keep up the fight? Or are you going to support Clinton?" And then he said, "No, I won't run as a third party, and I won't pose any threat to Hillary Clinton." So, I get kind of into some conspiracy theory stuff sometimes. I look at track records. Going off what Bernie did to everyone in 2016, and going off the fact he voted for something like Obamacare, which is night and day difference from what he's wanting now. Okay? If you really wanted it then, Bernie, why didn't you fight for it then? Why didn't you fight for it more? Why didn't you vote no? Because you knew it wouldn't be what we needed. Why settle for less? Even if you want to make the argument, Bernie, I was going to put this in place now, we would improve upon it later. Bernie, there's an old cliche, don't procrastinate and don't put it off to tomorrow because tomorrow never comes. If no one had repealed Obamacare, we'd be still stuck with this system, and I don't know for sure that we would have as nearly as many Democrats. We might because it was failing, but they were looking at that as their crown achievement. They'd be trying to save Obamacare versus putting something like this in place. And I'm not so sure Bernie wouldn't be kind of settling for it. So my point being is, even though this is not a video about Bernie, Everyone thinks that Bernie is the one who's really got the best chance. No, again, if I'm picking someone from the field on the left, as of right now, and I'm not endorsing her for president, but who would I want as the nominee to run against Trump? If I had to take my scale and balance out who would I rather prefer, it's Tulsi. It's Tulsi. And it's Tulsi because Richard Ojeda didn't stick in. And I can't blame him for his reasoning. We're going to do a Richard Ojeda video at some point, because I really liked what I heard out of Richard Ojeda. But right now, for the primaries, when they come to South Carolina, I'm voting for Tulsi. And I'm voting for Tulsi because I just do not believe that Bernie is as sincere as he says. He's not pointing out the corruption of all these other politicians. Tulsi is. Tulsi is telling the truth. She's got the right foreign policy. She's telling the truth. Now, I have my disagreements with her on certain other subjects, but I trust her a lot more than I trust someone like Bernie. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who just can't stand to hear me say this about their beloved darling Bernie Sanders. And maybe he's not as bad as I think he may be. But it doesn't matter. He sold out to Hillary Clinton. He sold out when he voted Obamacare. How do I know the fact he isn't calling out people like, Kamala Harris on the record of what she did as a prosecutor? All he wants to argue about is the healthcare, minimum wage, taxes. That's all he wants to talk about. He's not calling out the bullcrap. Tulsi, when she gets time on the stage, and then see, this is how you know they're more fearful of Tulsi Gabbard than they are of Bernie Sanders. And that makes me suspicious. If Bernie is really the outsider that they all make him out to be, why are they trying to censor Tulsi's voice more than Bernie's? Everyone says, oh, well, they're trying to, misconstrue polls against Bernie. I've heard Jimmy Dore talk about that. But it seems to me that the only real person who has given Tulsi Gabbard a platform to speak on is Tucker Carlson. Google shuts her ads down and don't let her run ads after the last debate. They talk about Bernie on every news outlet. I don't care if it's Fox, CNN, CBS, MSNBC, ABC, NBC. The Young Turks eat the man up. Okay? But real people listen to Tulsi and hear sense. Tulsi is a uniting figure, unlike Bernie also. For example, Mark Dice, who most certainly is more conservative. I listen to Mark Dice and watch his videos almost as much as I watch Kyle Kalinske and Jimmy Dore. Now, I have my disagreements with both of them. Right, the Jimmy Dores, the Kyle Kalinskes, and I have my disagreements with them. I also have some differences with Mark Dice. But even he liked what he heard from Tulsi. That tells you something. If people on the left like Tulsi, and there's some people on the right like the Tucker Carlsons and the Mark Dice who like what they're hearing from Tulsi, and the media is trying to censor her, there is a reason they are trying to censor her more than Bernie Sanders. So I would encourage people, keep digging into Tulsi. Keep digging into Tulsi, and I really want to see her be the Democrat Party's nominee when it comes time for the 2020 race. I want to see in 2020, because I don't think this guy trying to primary Trump's got a snowball's chance in hell. Okay? So, Bill Weld is going to go down like a sinking ship with his little campaign on the right. But who I want to see for 2020, I want to see Tulsi versus Trump. Tulsi versus Trump. Okay? So, I would encourage people, do your research, watch more on Tulsi. We're going to be putting some more videos up about Tulsi, but I think this is the real fighter on the Democrat Party side who has the best interest for the future of this country, not just from wages and healthcare, but on foreign policy. On foreign policy also. And I think she's a lot more sincere. I don't think she's just talk. Bernie might not be all talk, but I'm afraid he's more talk than he is bite. He might bite in a lot of columns, but I'm not so certain that he's going to be all bite when it comes to every subject. because he's kowtowed out too much to the status quo. Tulsi didn't do that. Tulsi left her position with the DNC because of what the DNC did to Bernie Sanders, because she supported what he was saying. What he was saying, she supported it, and when they screwed him, she did the moral thing and stepped down because she didn't agree with it. She did not sacrifice her moral compass. And meanwhile, while she stepped down because of what they did to Bernie Sanders, Bernie endorsed the witch behind it all. I think that should speak loud and clear. So again, everyone, do your research on Tulsi. If you're a Democrat, I really want you to look into her policies, because I think she's the one you need to go with. So let's see Tulsi versus Trump in 2020. Thank you. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Independent Report. If you liked the video, please hit that like button, and please subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe, ring that bell so you'll receive notifications when we drop new videos. I'm trying to grow this channel and inform more people of what's going on in the world around them. Thank you for your support, and we hope you tune in next time.